Hey folks, thinking slow here. As you may know, there's been a libel decision made in a claim against Lawrence Fox, where he called a number of people, well, it's three people, paedophiles, and two of those claimants have won, and his counterclaim has been rejected. Fox's counterclaim because he was called a racist, and the whole of the alt media is kind of lining up now to tell you must get behind Lawrence Fox because this is an attack on free speech. And I wanted to really just look at a couple of the highlights of that decision because there's some interesting parts to it that the alt media is not telling you. And I'm also kind of nervous that they're all lined up on a single narrative that you have to get behind Lawrence Fox and this is a free speech attack. I don't think that is true at all. And if you look at what the judgment actually says, you probably might reach the same conclusion. So, the short summary of what went on is Lawrence Fox criticized Sainsbury's when they had a sort of an initiative around Black History Month. And some people, or many people, called him a racist in response to his criticism of Sainsbury's. And then he responded to some of those claims by calling three particular people paedophiles. One of them, who won on the judgment, was a drag act called Crystal, who's otherwise known as Colin Seymour, and another one was a ex-trustee of Stonewall, ex-chairman. So what happened was they sued for libel for the paedophile claim, and there were three of those claimants, and two essentially won. And Fox countersued for the insult of being called a racist, and he lost on that counterclaim. And that's really, in a nutshell, what happened. And what I'm seeing is, the background is this is a typical sort of Twitter dispute with a lot of silly language being thrown backwards and forwards in real time, which is, you see this little cartoon here, and that's essentially what's going on Twitter. And in many ways, it's a shame that so much court time and energy is taken up with this. But, having said that, that is the reality. The reality of this decision is that it comes in a context where there is obviously a cancel culture problem in the UK. A certain group with the full support of the state is aggressively promoting various kind of theories and minority views around intersectionality, and a couple of other neo-Marxist ideas, and anyone that objects to that gets punished. So there's definitely a problem there. And as I said, you've got this divisive mudslinging going on Twitter, which is really what it's designed to do. It's designed to radicalize, keep people stuck on there, and increase tensions, which it does very successfully. And, the last element, really, I guess, Lawrence Fox would be seen as someone as having deep pockets. So all of those things added together probably would mean that if you call some people pedophiles, then there's going to be consequences. I mean, it seems to be pretty obvious if you put all these things in together. Now, the reason I made the video is because the alt media talking heads are all coming up with the same narrative, that this is all about free speech, and free speech is under attack with this judgment, and this is very bad. But actually, if you look at it, it's a libel. I mean, it's clearly a libel. You don't get away with just calling people pedophiles for no reason. Um, and there must be consequences for that based on all of the things I put in the context. And so that first part of the narrative is not correct. You don't need to get behind somebody to insult others with the label pedophile. There's no automatic, this guy has to be right. That isn't about free speech, and it is about libel. And Reclaim, the party, knows very well about that because they actually have quite a long document on there with an introduction from Lord Sumption about what free speech is and it isn't. So they clearly know that there's a limit, and this is what this is all about. It's about the limit. And as I see it, it's been a reasonable limit in the judgment. Now, the other thing that's going on social media is that they're saying that the claims of racism against Lawrence Fox have just been ignored, and that is absolutely not true. The judgment includes full consideration of those racist insults, where those individuals claimed Lawrence Fox was a racist, but he again shoots himself in the foot by claiming that those tweets, for example, it caused the harm of losing his contract with his agent. Now, in his evidence to that, he puts in some correspondence with his agent, but that correspondence took place before the tweets came out. So the judgment quite rightly says, look, you were having problems with your agent based before these tweets came out, and those problems were based on a much wider issue of controversial opinions expressed in other places. So you can't actually tie those racist claims in those three tweets to any direct harm. And that seems like a reasonable position to take. So the judgment's not saying that doesn't matter. It's saying you can't link those tweets with direct harm, and therefore that part of Lawrence Fox's claim failed. And because you don't have the link, you don't need to go into the whole theoretical exercise of working out exactly what that racist insult really means, because it's not relevant, because there's no link, or that the link is so weak that it can be ignored. So again, the alternative media and talking heads are misclassifying this. They're indicating that you can call anyone a racist and there's no consequences to that. It's not true. The judgment just says that you cannot link those particular three tweets with any specific harm, and that seems pretty reasonable. There's been a lot of evidence and discussion in the judgment why the judge came to that conclusion. And then the last thing is the claim that the courts now are sort of excessively involved in just banter and social media, and that's kind of not true either, because of the three claimants. In one situation, the judge said, "Yeah, okay, this one it's here. It's clear it's banter because you're taking the original accusation, which is you are a racist, Lawrence Fox." And Lawrence Fox is essentially turning it round, which is totally fine, and saying, "I'm as much of a racist as you are a paedophile." So, that is the way to turn that round and have banter where there's no element of libel. But the judge is saying on the other two recipients, it just says essentially you are a paedophile. There's no element of banter there unless you understand the whole thread. So again, the talking head summary of this in the alternative media is very misleading. And actually, if you read the judgment, I'll give you the link. I think it's kind of reasonable. I don't think there's a whole lot there to object to be honest. So it's not about the things you're being told. It's not about we have to get behind Lawrence Fox to defend free speech. It's not about allowing people to call you racist, and it's not about sort of ignoring the fact that there is banter. So all of that stuff was considered, and I think overall it was a pretty good judgment, with some reservations that I'll come to. The other thing we learned of interest in the judgment, which is something that's a bit close to my heart, because Lawrence Fox has called a number of small content creators, including me and Miri, grifters, because we had a Buy Me a Coffee account, and he sort of berated us for doing that. You're just grifters. And then I'd understood for a long time now that he was making a fair amount of money from Reclaim, because it's chewing its way through millions of pounds provided by Jeremy Hosking, and there's not clear at all where that money's going, other than salaries and perks for Lawrence Fox and his friends. And he did admit in the judgment is part of his an electronic exchange that Lawrence Fox is involved in, where he recognizes that he gets, inverted commas, a huge wad of cash for this game, and the game is, of course, leading Reclaim, and the huge wad of cash turns out to be £250,000 a year, £250,000 a year. So, his accusation against us was slanderous, and his claim that he was putting it all on the line, I can put that in inverted commas, for the sake of fighting the cancel culture is completely untrue. given that he's being paid £250,000 a year to fight cancel culture. I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on the line. Possibly he could have been earning more as an actor, but I'm not crying any tears for a guy getting paid £250,000 a year to fight cancel culture. That sounds like a pretty decent deal, to be honest. So his whole chest beating about putting it all on the line is not true. Now, a very unfortunate element of this decision is one of the successful claimants is a drag act called Crystal, who is he is Colin Munro Seymour, and he will be getting paid pretty substantially from this libel. So I don't know exactly how. No, nobody knows, of course, how much, but it's not hard to see six figures maybe being paid out. Certainly, the legal fees will be millions, probably. And this is the then recipient of those court-imposed damages at work in the Adventure Island in Southend, where he's angle grinding some contraption on his crotch, wearing pants in front of small children. And the judgment refers to his pristine reputation. Now, I think, to me, it's mind blowing that a family adventure park would let this show go on as family entertainment, which is outrageous in itself. And it's also, for me, kind of bizarre that parents would let children who have been pixelated in this photo stand around and watch this stuff at such a young age. So, unfortunately, now we're going to have to see and swallow this and watch this scene unfold. But it's been really a scene of Lawrence Fox's making. It's nobody else is making this whole thing. And that really is my bottom line conclusion, that this is a huge own goal, because what he'll actually have done at the end of the day is to embolden these people to make more liable claims and get more payouts. And at the same time, you'll be intimidating people who object to the scenes like the one we just saw at Adventure Island, because somewhere at the back of our minds will be, well, actually, Lawrence Fox ended up with millions of pounds of legal fees and damages and whatever else, because he said something libelous and stupid, quite frankly. So what he's actually done, although his party claims to be fighting the cancel culture and fighting for free speech, I think the net outcome of this is he will have damaged free speech by emboldening the people that are going to push their radical agendas and intimidating those that might want to fight against it. And as you may have seen in the video with Miri, we have our conspiracy theory there, that it could well be that's what his role is just to generally cause chaos, because you've seen other groups have been fighting cancel culture for many years without any liable claims, with no kind of press coverage like this, and they've been doing it very successfully and pushing back. Whereas Lawrence Fox has gone into this funded by a multimillionaire, and he's made a total hash of it and set the cause back quite badly. And that I is certainly going to ask the question: is that deliberate? I mean, probably it isn't, but there's certainly an outside chance that it may be, and that's a question we're going to keep asking, and that's part of the reason we put the video together. So that's the link to the full judgment. It's actually worth reading, because there's quite a lot about the state of play in the UK at the moment in that judgment. It's well written. I think it's pretty reasonable. I didn't really find anything about it that was completely out there. There's certainly no suggestion that this is a captured judiciary pushing a radical agenda. I don't think that's the case at all. It's well reasoned, and there's nothing I could see in there that was obviously objectionable. So if you want to read it, that's the link to it. And as I said, there doesn't seem to be much really alternative media at the moment, because I think we're figuring out that a lot of these alternative media talking heads are actually part of the system that we're working against. So certainly I put this video together because everything I was reading from the alternative media was all pushing you in one direction, that you have to jump in and support Lawrence Fox. And having read the judgment, I didn't see that at all. I came to more or less the opposite conclusion, which is why I put the video together. If you enjoyed this, please think about supporting us because we will have to close down otherwise. Okay, thank you. Bye.